Somewhere in your body, right now, there is a fear you did not choose. It switches on the moment the lights go off. It has nothing to do with monsters or movies or anything you were ever taught to be afraid of. It is older than language. And tonight, when the room goes dark, it will quietly wake up inside you, exactly the way it woke up inside every human who came before you. You already know the feeling, the way a dark hallway suddenly feels longer than it did in daylight, the way your ears sharpen when you turn off the last light in the house, the way your mind, without asking permission, starts filling the darkness with shapes that are not really there. You tell yourself it is irrational. You tell yourself nothing is out there, but something in you refuses to believe it. So here is the question worth asking. Why does a species that built cities, wrote symphonies, and sent machines to Mars still flinch at a dark room? For most of history, people assumed the answer was simple. Darkness hides danger, so humans fear darkness. Case closed. But that explanation only tells you what your fear does. It does not tell you where it came from, or why it still runs your nervous system with this much power. Thousands of years after fire, walls, and locked doors made the night far less dangerous than it used to be. To understand that, you have to go back, not centuries, hundreds of thousands of years. Picture your ancestors on the African savanna, long before agriculture, long before permanent shelter. When the sun went down, their world changed completely. Human eyes are built for daylight. Compared to the predators sharing that landscape, human night vision was weak, human hearing was average, and human bodies had no claws, no fangs, no armor. In darkness, your ancestors were, quite simply, prey. And they were surrounded by animals built specifically to hunt in that darkness. Big cats with reflective eyes designed to gather every scrap of light. Hyenas that could track a scent for miles. Predators whose entire biology had evolved around the advantage that night gave them. This is the part most people miss. It was not the darkness itself that was dangerous. It was what darkness took away from your ancestors. Information. The ability to see a threat coming. The ability to know, with any confidence, what was 10 feet away. And that changes the whole story, because it means the fear you feel at night was never really about monsters in the dark. It was about not knowing. Your ancestors who survived were not the bravest ones. They were the ones whose minds treated uncertainty as danger and reacted before waiting for proof. Here is where the story gets more interesting, because that single survival strategy did something remarkable to the human brain. It shaped how you process the unknown in every part of life, not just at night. Researchers studying fear and the brain, including work built on the foundations of neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux, have shown that a small almond-shaped structure deep in your brain, called the amygdala, is responsible for triggering fear before your conscious mind even understands what it is reacting to. It does not wait for facts. It reacts first and lets you catch up later. In a world full of hidden predators, that speed saved lives. A human who paused to calmly analyze a rustling bush before reacting was a human who often did not get a second chance to learn from the mistake. So evolution rewarded the nervous systems that treated ambiguity as danger. Not confirmed danger, just ambiguity, just the absence of certainty. That is the detail that changes everything. Your fear of the dark was never really a fear of darkness. It is a fear of not knowing. And once you see it that way, you start noticing it everywhere in your daily life, not just in a dark bedroom. Think about how uneasy an unread message can feel before you open it. Think about how unsettling silence feels from someone you care about when they usually respond right away. Think about how your mind fills in worst-case explanations the moment information disappears. None of those situations involve an actual predator, but your nervous system treats the gap in information the same way it once treated a dark tree line at the edge of camp. This is where an unexpected connection appears, one that most people never think about. The same wiring that made your ancestors freeze at an unfamiliar sound in the dark is the wiring that makes modern humans anxious in uncertain situations of every kind. A missed phone call, a vague comment from a boss, a relationship that suddenly feels distant. Your brain does not have a separate system for modern uncertainty. It uses the exact same ancient alarm that once protected a small group of humans huddled near a fire. And there is something else that supports this idea, something anthropologists have observed across dramatically different cultures, separated by oceans and thousands of years, with no contact between them. Independently, in nearly every part of the world, humans developed stories about danger that comes specifically at night. Spirits that wander after dark. Creatures that only hunt when the sun goes down. Warnings passed to children about staying close after nightfall. That pattern is too consistent to be a coincidence. When completely unconnected cultures invent similar fears, it usually means something biological is running underneath the storytelling, and folklore is often just the cultural costume placed over an older evolutionary fear. The stories were never really about monsters. They were early human attempts to explain and pass down a survival instinct that saved real lives for thousands of generations. Here is where the story reframes itself. One more time. Fire did not just give your ancestors warmth. It gave them something more valuable. Certainty. A lit circle where threats could actually be seen. Anthropological research on early hominins, including comparative work by researchers such as Richard Wrangham on the role of fire in human evolution, suggests that controlled fire may have reshaped not just human diet and socializing, but also how safe humans could feel after dark for the first time in their evolutionary history. For the first time, humans could gather in that circle of light, and for a few hours, replace the unknown with the known. That single shift may be one of the reasons humans began forming closer social bonds after sunset. Fire did not just push back predators, it pushed back the uncertainty your ancestors had spent millions of years being wired to fear. And that detail says something powerful about you. Right now, in the present, you are not afraid of the dark because you are irrational. You are afraid of the dark because, for the overwhelming majority of human history, being uncertain in darkness was the single greatest threat to staying alive. Your body has not caught up to the fact that streetlights exist, that locks exist, that your bedroom is not the savanna. This is why turning on a light does more than help you see. It genuinely calms your nervous system because it is restoring the one thing your ancestors' survival depended on. Information. It is not weakness when a dark house makes you uneasy. It is hundreds of thousands of years of inherited caution still doing exactly the job it was built to do. And once you understand that, you start to see your own anxiety differently. The unread text message. The silence after a hard conversation. The dread of not knowing how something will turn out. None of it is a personal flaw. It is the same ancient alarm system, still faithfully protecting you from the one thing it was never designed to tolerate: not knowing. So the next time the lights go off and that familiar tension rises in your chest, notice it without judging it. That feeling is not proof that something is wrong. It is proof of exactly how far your ancestors came and how much they endured to make sure a part of them would still be standing guard inside you even now, in a world they never could have imagined. You were never really afraid of the dark. You were afraid of not knowing what was inside it. And in a strange way, that fear is not a weakness you carry. It is a message passed down through every generation that came before you, reminding you that you are still here because, for a very long time, someone was always listening for what the darkness was hiding.